So the first run pattern of turns of the two legs with both the times added together, if you're new to slalom ski racing, has been set by Marco Pfeiffer, the long-standing Austrian slalom coach. The second run, which will be a different pattern of turns, has been set by Jacques Thiollier, who is working with the Italian ski team. The fastest and higher ranked racers start with the earlier numbers. There are 88 skiers on this first run. The fastest 30 will go in reverse order on the second. And this will be the 500th Alpine Skiing Olympic medal decision here today. Promises to be a magical race. And as you can see from this lovely wide shot of the finish area cameras, blue skies, a little bit of wind on the top of the mountain, but not on the Ice River racetrack. It is cold, very cold, up to minus 20, 21 degrees Celsius, and the snow condition is very hard pack as well. And Finley, they're still talking about the snow condition here in Yenching. Tell us more about the piste, tell us more about the skills required to get the handle on this very dry, aggressive snow.
The dry, aggressive snow comes from the humidity level that we've been seeing regularly around 20%. Since the snowstorm, that has increased, and it's now up over 50%. They have injected water into the ice river, but like we heard from Clement Noel, it's good icy snow, but with good grip. And we've had so many discussions about that snow surface, who can come to terms with it, and we know that Dave Ryding does very well on this hard, icy snow surface.
Now, Dave Ryding arrived very early in Beijing and Yenching to deal with his jet lag issues. He doesn't like the long-haul flights, and so he's had possibly more time than many others to get ready for the snow. And the British number one will start with bib number 13. Let's talk about the British number two quickly, Finley. Billy Major, a much better number than he's been skiing on the World Cup Tour. 32 could be a golden opportunity for Billy.
It's going to be great for him. It's going to be most likely to get into that top 30 for the flip of the second run. He has now scored points in World Cup, so he'll be very confident with his recent performances, and he's a good opportunity with that better bib number.
Now, it's not the roughest or the most difficult, steepest of race pistes that the skiers have faced this season, and it's quite a short sprint track, just 211 metres vertical drop. Pfeiffer, as we said earlier, the Austrian coach, has set 67 gates, of which 64 are turning gates. And some of the pre-race interviews that we've heard before we came on air, the skiers, the athletes themselves, are saying it's quite technical. It's a lot of turns and a lot of work. Now, those people that are in the grandstand are workers on these Olympic Games. No international crowds, as has been the rule and regulation due to the COVID pandemic throughout these games. But a lot of the ski teams and a lot of the staff are all waiting to watch this fifth and final individual medal. The women have an Alpine combined tomorrow here in Yenching, then the team competition on Saturday. This is the last chance for an individual gold of the men. We're on the Ice River racetrack. It's a 211-metre vertical drop, and as we said, 64 turning gates set by Marco Pfeiffer. It is dynamic, fast and furious from the get-go, and could today be the day that Team GB get their first medal at these Winter Olympic Games? Understandably, the atmosphere at the top of the racetrack is electrifying. We start at 10:15 local time here, and Finley, most of the skiers in the top group know how to handle this pressure. Very few of them are making their Olympic debut, bar the young Norwegians. So let's have a close look at the tempo and the race pace required. And as you can see,
straight away, we can see a missed gate. That reminds me of Michaela Schifrin when she came down and just didn't have the feel for the snow surface. That's why we've talked so much about the snow surface. It's felt different from the inspection into the race, and the Forerunner, who's showing us how to come down the mountain, already missing a gate in the first 6. The big swing that Clement Noel was talking about, that's now, these are 10 metres apart, but it's a good 4 metres across the hill. And then the quick turns in the vertical gates, the hairpins, and again we can see this Forerunner, that off-angle flush there onto the second part of the pitch. This is a lot more swing than we regularly see in the World Cup race. And as we come down now through the undergate, this is the last pitch, and look at the ice. He's struggling to find the grip in these closing turns. games. So it'll be a lot of conversations about how the setup is for the racers all the way down to the finish. Inconsistency in the feeling the Forerunner had. Let's hope the best in the world do better than that.
It's relentless, it's physical, it's tough, it's engaging. But as we've seen from this aggressive snow, there is very little room for error. Your tactic, your skiing needs to be absolutely on point, clean and error-free from top to bottom, because once you get that miscalculation of the edge set or the turn on this aggressive snow, it can spit you out and spit you out so quickly. And the turns come at you very quickly indeed. What I noticed from that Forerunner is that the first 3-4 gates are very tight. You need to be in that zone and focused from the moment you leave the starting gate. Now the light conditions are perfect, snow conditions. Let's quickly bring you up to date with the medal table for alpine skiing, because the Swiss team are now starting to draw comfortably clear of their great rivals Austria after a magical performance from Corinne Suter in their downhill yesterday. 4 golds for Team Switzerland against 2 for Austria. But of course, the women still have an alpine combined competition. We'll bring you that live tomorrow here on Eurosport and Discovery Plus. And then we have the team competition as well on Saturday. So that may well change. But right now, the Swiss ski team comfortably at the top of the medal standings. This is just for the alpine skiing, not for the whole of these 24 Winter Olympic Games. Well, the Austrian coach has set the turns, and there is one of their top performers, still looking for his first medal, Marco Schwarz, the World Cup champion in slalom skiing of last season. Now, of course, slalom is all about the dynamic, fast-moving and shortest turns of all the alpine disciplines. And Switzerland, who lead that medal table that we were just looking at, will be first in the gate to get this 2-run competition underway. This is the 20th Olympic slalom in Beijing 2022. The 500th Alpine skiing medal of the Olympic Games will be awarded today. And it will be a fascinating shootout between any one of 12 nations could potentially take the medals. And to get the action underway, the Olympic silver medalist, the highest ranked Olympian in this competition, will start the race. It is Ramon Zenhuisen, the gentle giant of the Swiss team, 6'8" or 2 meters 2. Now, Zenhuisen struggled with his World Cup form, has struggled with a shoulder injury throughout the season coming into these games, but can the tall Swiss racer take advantage of the smooth track?
Ramon Zenhuisen roaring out of the gate, building up to this first run here today. No mistake so far on the upper part of the mountain. He's releasing the skis so quickly, a little bit off his movement there through the flush. The skis were not quite tight, but they're very tight on these big offset turns, and that's going to be the key today, to get as close as possible to the bottom of the gate in the big offset turns.
It's not working, Finley. The tempo isn't there. I don't like the rhythm. The pace is not what we're looking for. Yes, it's very offset and turny, but it needs to be much more dynamic than this. 54.72. That is Matteo Joris, the slalom head coach of Team Switzerland. And Zenhuisen, to me, seemed to be labouring in those lower turns.
The skis weren't releasing. This is where I was saying the skis were a little bit too far away from the gates. He's pivoting there. He wants to be clean and straight. It is an offset flush or a verticale off to the right. And he's got a taped-up face. We're so rare to see that for the slalomers.
It's that cold, minus 20 degrees Celsius. Now here we go with Sebastian Foss-Solevaag, the world slalom champion, took the gold medal, I should say, in February this time last year at the World Championships in Cortina d'Ampezzo. Now Solevaag, no question, for this Viking, cool as ice when it comes to the major events. And this is a little more like the race tempo that I was expecting to see. This is a wonderful start, early green light, and Solevaag goes about his business in a lovely style here. Excellent work from the world champion on the opening turns.
There's hardly any snow at all coming off of his skis. He has the green light, but look how much acceleration he's gaining from the turn. He's lost a little bit of time into the second split, but that's better through the flush before the second part of the pitch. These are accelerating turns here. It looked to me like Zenhausen's kind of slowed down a little bit at this moment, but not so much at all for Foss-Solevaag.
These closing turns where Zenhausen really struggled with the tempo and pace. This is good, solid, rhythmical, technical skiing. So little room for error as Solevaag of Norway now goes for the line, takes the lead by almost 3/4 of a second. And Foss-Solevaag, the world champion a year ago, takes his first step forwards to add the Olympic gold to that major of last year. That's a nice piece of work. Not as quick on the flat midsection, Finley, as perhaps some will find, but the two steep sections were on point.
He was perfect on the steep section, so relaxed in the shoulders, no stress about the medals for Foss-Solevaag, and he's done well. For my pick for today.
2 runs, remember. Henrik Kristoffersen next in the gate. Another racer with an Olympic medal against his name, but from the 2014 Winter Games of Sochi. Now, Kristoffersen knocking on the door, 8th in the giant slalom, but sees his best chance of a medal at these games in this competition today.
Kristoffersen running so late on those early turns, but he stayed committed to that clean ski. He's been playing around with the setup a lot this season, but looks to have found something this year and looking very much like the Kristoffersen of old and working well on the flats here. Look at that, 0.33 up from the flats.
I like the way he's light, he's fast with the feet. Now this lower high swing tempo is absolutely key. This is where our current leader Solevaag absolutely nailed his turns, and it's on point again for Kristoffersen. Rock solid with the upper body. The rhythm is there. The swing and tempo goes from gate to gate, turn for turn. Norway will go 1 and 2. Kristoffersen dips and dives for the line and takes the lead. 400s quicker than Solevaag and the world champion. Henrik Kristoffersen, bronze medal 8 years ago, goes into the gold medal position here today with a very nice timed performance. It was the midsection that I enjoyed the most, Finley.
He seemed to take more risks through the midsection, especially on the vertical gates. Kristoffersen getting the feel for it. Look at that knuckle drag midway through the turn, using the pole protection.
Into the winner's enclosure, or leader's enclosure, I should say, for Kristoffersen. The first of the French challengers is in the gate. The winner of the opening slalom this season. When this man is good, he's electrifying. But what Clement Noel has struggled with on the World Cup Tour in the build-up to these Winter Games is the all-important consistency card. But look at the Frenchman's feet. They're fast, they're accurate, and the efficiency of the turn is quite exceptional.
Clement Noel is so fast from foot to foot. He can sometimes make mistakes on the inside ski and go down on the inside, but he looks to be very comfortable with the snow today. No worries, not one ski is slid away from his turns as he goes up even further now, 0.21.
It's amazing that these racers have got no stage fright at all. They're all very calm, cool, wonderfully lax with the body. He's right on the edge of his game here, and he's got a bit of a DNF history behind him. But here he comes, 0.14, and is Clement Noel just changing down, backing off a little on these closing turns, not quite getting the clean purchase and arc on the turning ski. A little scrappy on the closing turns. Clement Noel, 0.36 off the pace. The Frenchman with work to do on the second run.
Yeah, Clement, now we saw the skis on the lower part on the last steep of the Ice River slide sideways. Let's see if we see that, and some of these turns were clean, but look at that chunk, chunk, chunk as it bounces down onto the later line for him. That was so close to a straddle. That could not have been closer.
Germany are next in the gate, not since Frank Wendel in 1988 as a German taking a medal in this discipline at the Olympic Games. Now Lena Strasser, the winner of the last World Cup race on the men's tour in Schladming, Austria. One of the 6 racers to win in 6 races this season. 14 different skiers on the podium. Lena Strasser, who's only been in China for 5 days, shows no signs of jet lag, looks on point, fast, quick, and this is a furious tempo from the German. Nicely balanced, Finley, and wonderfully quick going into the second split sector.
1200s up, and he's putting more hip angle into the turn and getting away with that because he's releasing, but there's his first mistake. More hip angle means more pressure, and he got thrown up into the air on the second part of that pitch. That is going to cost him in time. There we have it, 0.22. He now needs to find on the last steep.
Superb work on the opening turns. One small error, and we said it at the top of the show, there is so little room for error on this short, quick, almost sprint-like slalom. 0.31 off the pace. Lena Strasser puts Germany into 3rd position. Kristoffersen sees off another challenger and sets the target time as our current leader at 53.94 seconds.
This is on the middle where his feet are moving so quickly through the 3-gate flush. But it was a mistake on the second pitch where he got launched into the air with that bigger hip angle. There we have it, getting on the tails. And as soon as you're a few centimetres away from the line, there's a lot to catch up on because it's so offset across the hill.
Austria in the gate. This is Marco Schwarz, the World Cup slalom champion from last season, the 2021 tour. A little disappointed to only come away with a 5th position in the Alpine combined. Here's Marco Schwarz with his last chance at a medal, unless he's selected for the team competition. But Marco Schwarz here is already over-skiing this, a little late with his line, Finley, and having to make a slightly rounder, therefore slower turn from gate to gate.
Yeah, he's late for the line because you can see the ski sliding out. He's not able to get the grip over the outside edge, so multiple times in the turn the ski's not getting the level of grip he's expecting. Look at the puffs of snow and almost coming out there because of it. The ski's just sliding away from him.
This is a big surprise because his coach Marco Pfeiffer, who's often the coach will often set a rhythm and a tempo that suits his skiers, has really caught Marco Schwarz out here. This is a huge disappointment. He goes for the line, he skis all the gates, but he's 2.32 off. That is a country mile in slalom ski racing when we normally settle the top positions by hundredths of a second, and he's over 2.3 off.
That wasn't the coach, that wasn't the course, that was a setup of the skis and the serviceman just not doing the right thing to get the grip on those atomics, and he'll be questioning and rethinking what the plan is for run 2.
Let's hope that's not the same for all the atomic skiers, because Manu Feller has the same brand under boot. And here we go, Manu Feller, a DNF in the giant slalom. Sets off, really meaning business here. This is one of the most dynamic, exciting slalom skiers on the men's World Cup tour. 600ths of a second off Kristoffersen, our current leader, but settling into the rhythm here quite nicely.
Feller's just been so aggressive on these opening turns and looking comfortable in the more offset turns. He's gaining speed because he's driving into the ski. He's got 0.3 of a second to find, but he's not having the same problem as Schwarz before him.
2 podiums on the 6 World Cup races leading into these Winter Games. That's what we've used as our form guide. Oh, that's a straddle! And that is Feller out. Marco Schwarz over 2.3 off the pace, and a DNF for Manu Feller. And this is an awful start for the Austrian team, with their coach Marco Pfeiffer setting this first of the 2 runs.
So a little bit on the tails in the turns before. Watch the left tip at this moment right now. The wrong side, it just jumps up and over the gate. He knows straight away he has to call the ball. The ski going the wrong side of the turning gate instantly disqualifies him.
Nightmare, disappointment, day over for Manu Feller.
He wants out of there in a hurry.
Well, for many of these races, it's 4 years of work gone in a split second. Let's go to the second of the French races. This is Alexis Pinturault. Pinturault is an exceptional Olympic record, 2 bronze and 1 silver, but nothing here in Beijing so far. 11th in the Super G, 5th in the giant slalom, but a DNF in the slalom of the Alpine combined. Look at Pinturault, right on the edge of his game, so close to yet another DNF. but it's exciting to see the Courchevel kid putting everything on the line here in the men's slalom.
We so rarely see Pinturault risking it all on the tails, but he's doing that today. He is skiing on the edge of control. From the middle to the heel of the ski allows you to accelerate, but he has to get under control more on the steeper turns right now.
Nice purchase with the turning ski, good grip, good rhythm. Just tends to hold on a little too long on some of the steep turns. It's a problem that we've highlighted with our very own Dave Ryding. And this is Pinturault just looking a little battle-weary, using a lot of energy to make those corrections. Pinturault is safely in the finish area, but he's off the pace by 1.18 seconds. Alexis Pinturault, with David Chastain, head coach of the French team, watching on, is into 6th position. Clement Noel from Val d'Isère in France is their quickest so far, lying 4th. Kristoffersen still sets the target time at 53.94 seconds.
Pinturault just seemed to run out of energy on the closing turns, and that can happen when you're skiing on the heels with the hips further back. It's a much more tiring way to go about your slalom skiing.
Sweden are in the gate with Kristoffer Jakobson. Jakobson powers out on course. And a skier that's been on the podium and winning the first run of a couple of slaloms. Now, if Jakobson looks like he's going back to his old style of really risking everything, but those errors, small but costly, take the Swede a quarter of a second off the pace. Look at this young lad's feet. They are so fast and accurate, but he has a tendency, Finley, just to get deep in the turn and overcook it.
He was so risky on that opening steep. He was lucky that the undercate came when it did before the flat, so he could roll the speed out on the flats. He's going very direct here on the steep, and this is one athlete that puts the tips of the skis closer than anyone, and he's down on the hips.
Second DNF of the first run in the men's slalom. Manu Feller is joined by Jakobson. Kristoffer Jakobson on screen. 7th in this race 4 years ago. No result today.
Just going a little bit too straight. You can see his upper body getting twisted in the turns before, so he didn't have the consistency he needed to build the edge grip. And then all of a sudden, look at the shine on the snow. Gets an icier turn and the skis just wash out.
You've got to get the pressure early, edge and turn to get that grip. There's Ryding wearing bib 13 for Team GB. Austria are next in the gate, and Austria are struggling here. Michael Matt carries bib number 10. His older brother, Mario Matt, winning the Olympic slalom gold back in 2014 on the Rosa Couture mountain at the Sochi Winter Games.
Second turn for Matt. He lost a little bit of edge grip on the left foot, but he quickly recovered, and he's only 800 behind at this moment in time. This is looking good across the flats for Matt.
Last-minute selection to the Austrian squad after his 4th position in the slalom in Kitzbühel in late January. 0.36 has him currently skiing in 4th position. But again, he's rounding out the turn just a little too much on this steep and high-swing final section.
0.6 of a second to find. He's skiing a little bit late. When he rolls onto the edge, there's almost a pause, which ends up getting the pressure low and late down into that building rut.
The technical precision is not there for Michael Matt to take the lead. He stops the clock. 0.42 off the pace. That's still within a chance of taking a medal. 0.42, the second run charge, keeps Austria in the game. Kristoffersen sees off another, looking very calm and collected, waiting and watching in the finish area.
Kristoffersen not wanting to waste any energy and just be prepared for that second run. But for Matt there through the hairpin, you see he's just flying through the air, and then the pressure happening late in the turn.
Switzerland are in the gate. Wearing bib number 11 is Loic Meillard. In his second Winter Olympic Games, now Meillard with a very light, quick, soft touch on the skis. He may have the answers to this very cold and aggressive, unique Chinese snow.
1600ths of a second to find Meillard skis so much balance. One of the few skiers that really skis with a two-footed pressure on the inside and outside ski across the flats. He's been clean to clean with his edge pressure, and it's working for him. He's got it down to a 10th now.
Across the Royal Flush, cutting across the piste. It's this final steep where you really do need to keep that rhythm flowing from gate to gate. Early pressure, clean on the edge. And this is a nice piece of work from Meillard, and may well be the best of the Swiss so far. Just a little shimmy sideways as he makes an adjustment. Half a dozen turns from home, but Meillard's in the chase. Meillard into the bronze medal position. 0.28 of a second off the pace of Henrik Kristoffersen. Still leading for Norway. It was a good tactical ski, I would say, Finley, from Meillard there. A couple of small errors, but there were some areas where he was just so light and precise.
Watch both of the skis, the pressure coming down through the inside and the outside ski, and he was light. He was releasing up and then landing in that balanced position into the new turn.
Here's the youngster from the Italian team, Alex Vinatzer, only 22 years of age, but a well-established racer on the men's tour. Oh, Vinatzer! How did he get away from that one? Well, this is his style. It's box and bust. That's the way he likes to ski. And wonderful, skillful recovery from the youngster who keeps his chances alive.
Another one to just survive because of that undergate at the end of the pitch. From gate 2 it was going a little bit wrong, but look how quick he's been across the flats, making time back up. Now only 0.38, and this is so direct. He's risking everything here.
Oh, but he's caught on the tails. Has to stand tall to keep the ski purchase on the ice. Scrubs off a lot of momentum and speed. And from the bronze medal position, now Vinatzer is only just hanging on. And you can see the Italian, he's running out of gas. He's used up so much energy and pace with his recoveries. He just about gets it home, but it's 9th position, 1.45 seconds off the Norwegian leader. It's a typical Vinatzer run. Recoveries, brilliance, and recoveries again.
More and more recoveries, but when the timing goes and the pole plant, look at the hip, gets trapped in and throws him up into the air, and then from there to the finish he really struggled to get that feeling back, and he was making multiple mistakes all the way down towards the finish.
Well, he's lucky to be in the finish area and to earn a second run. It needs to be clean. And here we go with the British #1. This is Dave Ryding. The 35-year-old from Lancashire needs to show his best here. Britain's first ever Alpine Ski Racing World Cup winner. Can he now go better than his 9th position in Pyeongchang 4 years ago? I love the opening turns. Accurate, fast, and very quick. Look at Ryding go through the gears. Watch the clock. There's the green light. Ryding makes his first step for Olympic gold on the opening turns.
So accurate foot positions there from Dave. He's not given up one bit of edge grip so far. Can he keep this level of energy going? Generating speed through the flats. He still has the green light at 1800ths of a second.
Confidence is building here. Now, these are the turns. There's the first mistake. There's the quick recovery. That could cost Ryding the green light as he comes into the third. Split sector time here. Ryding now 8/10 off the pace, but needs to keep that fast tempo on this closing steep pitch. Dave Ryding now into the last flush, tries to straighten it out, goes for the line. Ryding a little messy on the lower turns. 1.19 in the gold medal position to the halfway point of the challenge. The errors started to creep in, and Dave will be the first to admit he struggled on the last steep. Skillful recoveries from Ryding, but that green light goes so quickly for the errors.
Oh, it was painful there, out of the hairpin on the tails, that classic going straight down the hill, and all of a sudden you're on the heels, and it's before some of the biggest turns on the second pitch. Very athletic from Dave to recover from that, but the time and the timing just started to go after that big mistake.
Wonderful save from Dave Ryding. The British #1 skis into 9th position. He'll need a real charge on the second leg to try and take a medal today. But we've seen everything turn upside down on the World Cup Tour. It's still a possibility for the British #1. Lucas Braathen for Norway is next on course. Another skier that has won on the World Cup Slalom Tour coming into these games.
Lucas in the early turns, just getting so much generation of power. And look at him dance through that 4-gate flush onto the flat. 0.28 of a second to fine, but he's almost powering too much with the outside hand, losing a couple of outside skis because he's moving across the hill with the upper body a little bit too much on some of these turns.
Very aggressive, really pushing, maybe a little too hard. And one or two of these gates that caught out Dave Ryding is gone. Lucas Braathen of Norway is a DNF. Yep. Third skier to join the list here. Great friend of Kristoffersen. His Olympic challenge is over.
Yeah, just struggling here through the off-axis three-gate flush and stamping down to straddle the outside blue, or not the outside blue, the end blue gate. Look at the right tip of the ski, going the wrong side of the gate and getting folded in half because of it.
Well, that's a huge disappointment for Lucas. One of the new youngsters breaking through on the World Cup circuit last season and this. He's already come back from one major ACL operation. Sadly, in his Olympic debut, it's all over on the first run. Let's go to Daniel Yule of Switzerland. Again, another skier almost caught on those opening steep turns. But look at the Swiss racer now. Go through the gears on this flat section. A quarter of a second to make up for Daniel Yule.
An unusual mistake in the opening turns. Just get the feeling for the snow, and the hip got trapped on the inside. He got thrown up into the air, but he's getting it back now. He's letting the skis run through these turns, not stressing that he's a little bit late in the line, but that's the key turn now onto the top of the pitch in a very balanced manner.
Yeah, good work. This is from Yule now, finding the rhythm, finding the foot-to-foot, the flow. It looks more like a dance. It's error-free, it's clean, and Daniel Yule is closing this out nicely. It's getting a little slick on one or two of the gates in the shade of the piste, and Daniel Yule dips for the line, 1.12 into 8th position. Daniel Yule pushes Dave Ryding down to 10th, Pinturault 9th. But no question, Kristoffersen's fastest time so far at 53.94 is looking better and better.
It's looking very good. Yule here, getting ahead of the line on the second pitch steep there. A little bit disappointed with that 1.12 seconds off top spot.
Daniel Yule will be hoping for errors from others going into that second run. Henrik Kristoffersen is the fastest of the top 15 ranked racers for the Norwegian team. Of course, he's got form in this Olympic slalom discipline from the 2014 games where Kristoffersen took a bronze. Foss-Solevaag is in the silver medal position, Meillard is third, and Britain's Dave Ryding is down in 10th spot. Well, the next group of slalom experts from 16 to 22 will include a former Olympic slalom champion, and that, of course, is Giuliano Razzoli. Now, we're going to quickly go down into the finish area before we start with the next group of 16 to 20. And here's Clement Noel with his thoughts and feelings on that first run.
This first run, like, the start was good, the first part was good, with the good feeling, and then I was a little bit more tense. I don't know, like I didn't find the rhythm through the bottom. So yeah, I hope I will be more consistent in the second run, and I think I'm in the match for the medal, so that's the most important.
Yes, you are. Grazie.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Ciao.
Well, predictable words, really, from Clement Noel there, summing up his performance, I think, the way we commentated it. He found some wonderful speed in the midsection, but just lost the rhythm to the flow and tempo of the course on those closing turns. Clearly, there are still some very talented skiers to go. I'm particularly excited about Giuliano Razzoli, who starts with bib number 18, hoping to win the Olympic gold 12 years after he took the gold in Whistler Mountain back in 2010. But Croatia are next in the gate. 3 times a giant slalom World Cup winner, but Filip Zubcic, out on course, made a big breakthrough this season on the slalom World Cup tour, and having raced the giant slalom last week, well, may have a feeling for the snow that the slalom specialists are missing right now.
Zubcic so powerful with the legs, so strong with the upper body, and these are good turns here, but just losing the outside ski on the right foot there. But he's using all of his skill set to get through those errors, but now has 0.8 of a second to find. It really is where Dave made that error there on the flush, a key turn at the top of that pitch, because it's so easy to get the feet out in front of you with the hips back.
Heartbreaking for the British fans to see our number one with 2 green lights and then it slip away on the mid and lower part of the challenge. It's been a very physical ski from Zubcic. Really working very hard to try and get that purchase. 1.85 seconds off the pace for the Croatian number one into 12th position. Zubcic has struggled with this snow in his giant slalom race earlier in these proceedings, and today with the slalom, 10th in the giant slalom. His result on Sunday of last week. That's Tommaso Sala. Just visualizing, and you can see with that visualization process how with his hands, and he's looking and reading it in his mind, that he tries to find the tempo, the rhythm that we often talk about here on Eurosport. Luca Aerni next on course for the Swiss ski team. Luca in his 4th Winter Olympic Games, a world champion, an Olympic champion in the team competition in Pyeongchang back in 2014. We don't expect to see many nerves from Luca Aerni. He's just struggling a little bit with these opening turns.
Yeah, that third gate rut really is developing. It looks like a shine, and the skis slide out till they hit the outside of the rut with how much water's been injected into the snow surface. Now looks more comfortable, getting what he feels back from the skis, or what he expected to feel back from the skis.
Switzerland have not won the Olympic slalom gold since its first running back in St. Moritz in 1948. Can you believe that stat? It was from Eddie Reinalter. 1.41 off the pace, with the toughest turns still to be taken in from Luca Aerni. And here you can see that Luca is just over-skiing, what we call. He's making a slightly rounder, deeper turn, and that's taking the tenths away. 1.69 off the pace for Luca Aerni into 12th position.
To the slow-mo, that's that left ski sliding all the way out on those earlier turns, and then we can see the rut, more of a developed rut in the lower turns. That's this top of the second pitch. We had to really reset. All of the energy happening after the gate there.
Here we go with racer 18, Giuliano Razzoli, now 37 years of age, the 2010 Olympic slalom champion. Got back to his best form on the World Cup Tour this season with a 3rd position in Wengen, becoming the oldest skier to claim a World Cup slalom podium. Look at Razzoli dance here through these opening turns. Fast feet, but lovely, calm and quiet with the upper body. And the Italian gets a deserved green light at the first split.
How did he move his feet that fast through the 4-gate flush? A little bit late there in the hairpin. He's lost his advantage, but he's only 500ths behind. Now into this key 3-gate flush, and he's early, in balance on those key turns on the second pitch.
Nice piece of work in the mid part here. 500ths at split sector 2. What has he got at 3? 6/10ths off the pace. Little bit of work to do, but Giuliano Razzoli is one of the most experienced in the game today and knows this is a 2-run competition. Razzoli now closes it out, dips and dives for the line. 0.85, 8th position, and that is the best of the second group so far. The 2010 Olympic slalom champion into 8th spot. 0.85 of a second off the pace of the Norwegian leader, setting himself up for a good second run charge and a good position, Finley, to strike from.
Showing that there's more to be had in the top of this course than Kristoffersen took if you're very aggressive out of the gate. But it's harder now with the rut developing on the lower part of the mountain.
Austria, winner of men's alpine combined, winner of adult slalom this year.
Good start to the day for Razzoli of Italy. Let's go to the newly crowned Olympic alpine combined champion, Johannes Strolz. One of the few skiers in the competition today. Oh, he hits that rut, and it's getting very deep and difficult indeed. I think it's gate 3, Finley, but a great recovery from Strolz, who goes about his work now on this midsection. Very accurate, very fast with the feet, looking for medal number 2, the Austrian.
He has to put that mistake behind him. He's going so direct at these gates, just getting away with it and making up time on the flats. That was amazing skiing to make up time in the flats that late, but that's the big error on the key turn exit of the 3-gate flush.
Confident recovery, regains the balance and the tempo. He's got it down to 0.21. What was looking like a tough day for the Austrian team is now looking an awful lot better, with Johannes Strolz now closing this out with a fast, accurate finish. Oh, Strolz almost is there. Strolz has done it. 200ths of a second, the right side of the clock for the Austrian police officer. Johannes Strolz on track for gold medal number 2, takes the lead from Kristoffersen by 200ths of a second, and there were clear errors to spot in this performance, Finley.
Look at the ski getting hit in the ruts, getting thrown out. It just picks up and then stops, almost coming off. You could see the heel piece moving as he went through that rut. 2 clear errors, and still with the top spot. Amazing performance.
Look at the angles that he finds. Look how he gets those skis to keep the purchase, stop him from going down, risking all the way to the line, but the risk-reward pays dividends, and Johannes Strolz of Austria is our new leader. Tommaso Sala next to go for the Italian team. Now, Tommaso, again, a skier that had to battle on the World Cup Tour to pick up a spot on the Italian slalom squad. That qualification race is over. Now let's see if he can put it together on the biggest day of 4 years. Lovely top turns from Sala. Very similar style to Razzoli. Very calm and quiet with the upper body.
He's so soft with the knees into the turn, but has he risked enough across a flat? No, he's lost 0.25 of a second. Let's remember Strolz made that error up top and then went lightning fast across the flat section. Tommaso just getting everything right, but not quite risking as much as we've seen on the second pitch.
Maybe that's the tactic, Finley, to really try and tighten, straighten out the line on this last pitch. Still a good piece of work here from Tommaso Sala. Very clean and fast finish from the Italian. 0.45 into 8th position. And the second group of racers from start number 16 to 22 having no problems at all to challenge for top spot. As it's thumbs up from Strolz, he leads again.
Looks like they're understanding the top part of the mountain a little bit better because they've been watching the video analysis of the guys going down, and they've got good tactical choices from this group right now.
Sala, just watch behind him. You see the wind spinning up the snow there. That's the problem they've got at the top of the mountain here today. Celebrating his 38th birthday, this is Alexander Khoroshilov for the Russian team and Olympic Commission here now. Khoroshilov again, lovely work on those top turns and a green light to go with it.
So tight on that red gate. When it spins around the 360 like that, you can't get your feet closer. So it's going very well for Horo at this minute. 0.29 of a second he is now behind.
0.29 of a second. Oh, there's the mistake. There's the recovery, and does well to keep that tempo, keep the speed. Now watch him on this next pitch here. He was exceptional on the opening turns. Can the Russian skier give us the same performance on the lower? Here he comes in. Watch this very difficult hairpin, then a switch across, And the Russian skier, Alexander Horoshilov, on his 38th birthday, skis into 9th position, 0.71. Now they're starting to punch very close together indeed, with just under 9/10 of a second separating the top 10.
That was the mistake on the exit of the three-glade flush before the top of the second pitch. He got trapped. Look where the hips are, quite far back. And he's trying everything, with even the hand getting caught in the snow there, trying to get the feet to release the turn and get on top of the new right-footed turn.
He's happy with his work. Let's go to Bulgaria, wearing bib number 22, Albert Popov. A little warm-up on the Ice River racetrack by skiing the giant slalom. Took 17th position there, but Popov really did find a very, very nice feeling and touch on the snow, and these opening turns are very fast indeed from the young Bulgarian. Look at him go, and the reward, green light, 0.05 of a second up on the current Austrian leader, Johannes Strolz.
Popov likes it tough and icy, and he's got the snow condition like he likes it today. And look how much generation of speed he's trying to use with the upper body. Just 0.02 of a second behind now. Can he be quick with the feet on the top? Yes! This is very good skiing here from Popov.
Now, the Bulgarians' best results on the World Cup Tour have come on the tougher tracks on the circuit, including Schladming, including Kitzbühel. He's just a little off with his timing, but he is digging deep here, and this could be something quite special as Albert Popov gets that high line to close this out. 53.92 is the target time, and the Bulgarian is in the hunt. 0.7 off the pace, 9th position in the first of the two runs. And that's the best we've seen from Popov so far this season. And he's produced his best in the biggest race of the year.
So aggressive out the gate onto that first turn. And everything was clean to clean edges. Popov very happy with that 9th position.
So the second group of racers shuffle up the positions. Strolz is our new leader. Kristoffersen and Foss-Solevaag of Norway, second and third. Also Tommaso Sala, Albert Popov and Horoshilov joining the top 10, pushing Britain's Dave Ryding now down to 15th, 1.21 seconds off the pace of the Austrian leader. Top three in reverse order. All of a sudden, Solevaag and Kristoffersen, that dominated the first seed racing group, find themselves now playing catch-up. Kristoffersen very close, though, just 0.02 of a second behind Johannes Strolz, already with a gold medal from the men's Alpine combined race that was contested last Thursday. And that slalom experience in a competition environment for Johannes Strolz, possibly giving him that 0.02 of a second edge over Kristoffersen, Finley.
Strolz is so impressive. He made 2 massive errors and still leads this first run. We were saying at the top of the programme that you can't make any errors if you're having any chance, and he's proving us wrong with the level he was able to bring it after those errors.
Into the third group, started with Atli McGrath with bib number 23 all the way through to bib number 30. If you're just joining us live here on Eurosport or on demand via Discovery Plus, the story of the first of 2 runs in the men's slalom is the Alpine combined gold medalist, Johannes Strolz. The policeman from Austria is leading with a start number of 19, setting the target time at 53.92 seconds. Kristoffersen, Olympic slalom bronze medalist from the 2014 Winter Games, is in second spot, just 0.02 of a second behind the leader. Then the world slalom champion, Sebastian Foss-Solevaag, is 0.06 of a second off the pace of the Austrian leader, lying in the bronze medal position. Still, a lot of very talented skiers left to make their challenge on this first of the 2 runs. 1 or 2 ruts, though, Finley, starting to develop. You've got to have soft ankles to keep those skis in contact with the snow now. Now, this is Atli McGrath from Norway, actually born in Burlington, Vermont. His father American, his mother Norwegian. His father an Olympian at the 88 Games in Calgary. watches his son here, and this is a lovely tempo. Very quick start. 500ths off the pace for Aerni McGrath, who was second to Lena Strasser in the last World Cup race before these Winter Games.
Looking very comfortable here for McGrath across the flats. The ski's doing everything he wants him to do. Only 0.36 of a second to find. He's ahead of himself and the course, and now on top of that key turn on the second pitch.
Lovely shot from this cable cam. Now McGrath, 0.41. Keep it under half a second and you're in with a chance of chasing.
Closing hairpin, so quick you have to be with your feet, but then a heavy edge set coming onto the line.
And that gate 5 from home is starting to get a little slick and rutted. 1.16 seconds off the pace. Aerni McGrath for the Norwegian ski team into 14th position. So close between all of the skiers so far. Let's go to Belgium. Armand Marchand holds the record for the top Belgium World Cup result and performance. It was in the 2020 season when he was 5th in the World Cup in Zagreb. Now, trains at the Onzer Swiss ski resort. Just plagued with too many injuries for Armand. Finley. It's stopped and started his career on so many occasions, but this is an explosive and a good piece of work. Just 0.6 off the pace at halfway.
Yeah, he's risking it all in this first run, and look at the depth of the hip it was on the top of that second pitch there. He can get injured because he just launches his body inside his skis, but really backing off unusually for that undergate. The skis seem to just bounce, and it's going again. The timing started to go away from Marchand into the finish here.
Being a little scrappy in these closing turns after such a positive start. Belgium, 2.21 off the pace. Armand Marchand, one of the slowest so far, goes into 20th position. The one and only American in this ski race, which is quite a surprise, Luke Winters. You have to go back to the Meillard brothers in the Winter Olympic Games of Sarajevo in 1984 to see Team USA's last Olympic slalom goals. Phil Meillard is down, and the American dream is over and over very quickly. I was just about to say gold and silver went to the Meillard twins in 84. There will be no medals in 2022 for Team USA. Big disappointment for Luke Winters.
He just threw his skis through this 4-gate flush as he gets late there, and it bounced off. The ski bounced. He's a little bit slow with the foot movement. The boot hit the second double gate and the ski, throwing him off balance, and those knees went into an awkward position there. Let's hope he's okay. And it's just disappointment at the side of the race piste.
Well, the good news is Finley is up on his feet. He's unhurt, unclipping the boots, just analysing where it went wrong. But that's a disappointment for the American team. Hasn't gone well for Team USA at all in this slalom discipline. Problems for Meillard Schifrin, who was one of the big favourites, and problems for Luke Winters here today. Let's stay the North American Challenge. Canada are in the gate with Eric Reed. His father, Ken Reed, a two-time Olympian in the 76 and 1980 Winter Olympic Games of Innsbruck and Lake Placid. 13th in the giant slalom. He skied this racetrack once before Finley. He should have a feel for the snow, and you can see that helps the Canadian with a big green light at split time interval 1.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest we've seen so far, so getting everything right out of the gate and just so lightning fast through that 4-gate flush from Reed, but he loses some of that time now to go 0.35. But can he be as quick with the feet through that second flush? He's ahead of himself at the minute.
Pinpoint accuracy from the feet and turn from the Canadian. Definitely enjoying the steep more than the flat section. This is now starting to get a little slick, I'd say, on these lower turns. Very difficult to get that ski to bite. And you can see Eric Reed letting the ski drift sideways on that last hairpin. The Canadian goes for the line. 1.98 off the pace. That's brutal for Eric Reed with such a sensational split time at the top of the challenge.
You can see that some of the ruts have a judder, and that's a bit of a platform to push from, and others have a shine, so they lose the ski in the shine turns.
Vinatzer of Croatia, 28-year-old from Zagreb. 3rd Olympic Games, 6 World Championships. So he's got the experience. There shouldn't be too many butterflies or nerves. Can Vinatzer find the time? And he's overskied that top section. Already 0.37 off the pace when the top 3 are determined by hundredths of a second, not tenths.
It seems that across the flat you can hold pace with which way the snow is. It's from this second flush here, and then the snow surface gets harder. It's harder to stay ahead of the line. We can see the cuts into that snow surface from the 26 that's been before the Croatian.
Now it's over 1.5 seconds. It doesn't look as dynamic, it doesn't look as quick or as exciting as the others, and that's the Croatian Vinatzer just holding on to that turning ski for a split second too long. The net result, 2.65 seconds off the pace of the leader, and Vinatzer one of the slowest so far.
Yeah, when the tempo goes, it's so hard to get it back.
Wearing bib number 28, the Japanese number 1, Yohei Koyama. Made his big breakthrough on the World Cup Tour this season, Finley. I'm sure you remember in Madonna di Campiglio taking 8th position.
Very good opening turns for Koyama. He's releasing the ski with a very deep hip angle. He just lifts the knees up and extends the leg down into that new turn. And the way in which he's doing that is working well. That was a straddle entrance into the hairpin. Just coming too tight. Trying to think ahead a little bit too much. And you can see that he's in shock from that one.
And that straddle means a DNF. A did not finish means the race is over. No second leg for the Japanese racer. Watch the tip. It goes the wrong side of the turning gate. Straddle is what we call it in ski racing terminology. And sadly for Koyama, his day and Olympic dream is over.
Just got a little bit inside on the gate before. He was off balance coming in there. That's what started the problems for him. And it just shows how quickly it can go wrong in slalom skiing.
Let's go to the Spanish number 1 with a couple of good results on the World Cup Tour this season. Joachim Salaric. If I take you back to the Winter Olympic Games of Sapporo in 1972, Spain won the slalom gold with Francisco Fernandez Ochoa, Paco. And here they come again with a lovely big green light. And Salaric, oh, what a disappointment for the Spanish fans. 0.21 of a second quicker going into the first split over the Austrian leader, and just goes down a little too heavy with the shoulder on the inside here, and it's all over in a split second.
Yeah, just the way in which he rolled onto that new turning edge. The left ski didn't pick up, so the body went too far inside, and he'll be even more disappointed when he sees he was 0.21 up on the field.
What a shame for Salaric. Oh. Let's go to the last of the top 30 ranked racers. Sami Koliga for Croatia. Ivica Kostelic, his coach, was the silver medalist in this race in 2010 when Razzoli took the gold. Ivica Kostelic now retired from international ski competition, but a very big player with regards to the organisation and coaching of the Croatian squad. This is a good top section, nice and active, lots of energy, dynamic and fast with his feet.
Fast with his feet, but he's driving hard at the end of the turn, and you need to get that under control and release a little easier on the steep. That's better now on the steeper turns in the release of the turn, but maybe a bit too much of a round line there. It goes to 1.22.
Now this is why the higher world ranked skiers get the earlier bib numbers. This race piece is just starting to rut a little, excuse me, as Koliga stops the clock 1.62 seconds off the pace and into 18th position. British number 1 Dave Ryding is now down to 16th place, but Billy Major will start with bib number 32. No change in the medal positions in the first of the 2 runs. Strolz looking for his second gold at these games. Kristoffersen in the silver medal position. Foss-Solevaag is in 3rd. Look how close they are. Less than 0.06 of a second separating 3rd to 1st position. So the top three in reverse order here. Nothing separates them, Finlay. And to be fair, any one of the top 10, even top 15 could claim a medal. Dave Ryding is not out of the chase yet, I think it's fair to say.
He's not out of the chase yet. The top three are so tight, but everybody's going to be risking everything in the second run. So we expect some big errors, but the surprise for me is not that Strolz is in first place, but look at the errors he was making, and he's still in first place, which tells me he's got more in him in speed if he cleans it up in the second run.
You're absolutely perfect with your words, Finlay. If Strolz can find what they often describe as the perfect run, then he could be a second ahead of the rest of the world with the speed that he's able to generate from those skis. Trevor Philp goes through his warm-up. Jan Kraniet will be next in the gate for Slovenia. And then we will see Britain's Billy Meillard. It'll be interesting to see if Billy can take advantage. You've really got to go hell for leather on the top section, and then the inviting turns on the flat, and then try and make the best of what is turning into a slightly rough and rugged finish to this race piece. This very cold, grippy snow. It takes a lot to force it to break and to separate the snow molecules, but it is getting a little judgery. So let's go to Slovenia, into the group from 31 all the way to 88 now. We'll run them very quickly as well to get ahead of the time frame for this men's slalom competition. Already with a silver, Jan becoming Slovenia's second Olympic medalist after his brilliant ski, particularly on the second leg of the men's giant slalom, contested on Sunday of this week. Now, Kraniec, no better than 18th in slalom on the World Cup Tour, but Strolz brought that medal-winning confidence to the field of play. Let's see if the Slovenian can do the same.
Opening turns, 0.29 of a second, and he lost the right foot just after the split time there in the flat, so that's going to cost him a little bit more in time. But the tempo stays high. The energy is still very high here across the flats. That's a straddle.
It's all over for Kraniec, and a DNF. Not continuing because the rule book says if you know you've straddled, you must bring your performance to a standstill and ski away. But it's game over for the Slovenian racer on the first of the two runs.
You can see that was millimetres as it was bouncing coming into that single gate, but Billy Meillard already on.
Wants to get on with this nice and quickly. British number 2 is on course. It's been a frustrating criteria for some of the smaller nations with regards to the quota of skiers. But look at this, following Dave Ryding with a nice green light here. Billy Meillard goes through the gears. Exceptional work on the opening turns. He's leading the Olympic Games.
Billy Meillard doing everything right in this first run, but the first error as he comes into the hairpin. He made it through. He's now 0.5 of a second, but this is the key turn. He's up on top of his skis on the second pitch. This is looking fantastic.
Solid work coming off the back of a career best 18th position in the World Cup race before these Winter Games. Now it's 1.2. The accuracy is there. There's the mistake, and it's over. What a disappointment for Billy Meillard. He's DNF'd on the lower part of the challenge after a huge green light on the upper section. Billy Meillard just couldn't hold on, and what a shame for the British racer.
Just here as he was coming lower down, putting too much into the turn and then getting thrown out on the tails, and there's just no room and space for that type of error. So quickly got thrown out of the racetrack.
Jung is on course for Korea. It's a sad end to Billy Meillard's Olympic Games. His day is over. But as we often see on the World Cup Tour now, the racing line is getting rounder, the turns are getting more difficult, and it's a real test for these lower-ranked racers that come with the higher numbers.
It's difficult because when you get out of position, you can get slammed into the rut, and that's what throws the hips back. The skis are in front of you, and all of a sudden, you can't make the next gate.
It's the same story for the Korean athlete on course here, getting thrown out of position. And really having to over-ski the closing turns to complete the course. 2.93 off the pace for Jung, 23rd position. This is Jan Zabistan of the Czech Republic. 0.37 off the pace. I don't think any of the skiers are finding this upper section difficult at all, Finley, but it's the lower turns that are now becoming the make or break of this first run.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nick. It's just as the snow breaks a little bit more in these big offset turns, they have to put so much pressure down through the slalom edges. And that was a launch out of the racetrack there. Just unable to keep the speed going of the feet through that offset. It's the 3-gate offset flush to the right, skier's right, that catches you out because you're trying to stay balanced, but there's a lot more to put onto the left ski on those lower turns.
Well, a quick medal update. It looks like the American men have dominated the freestyle skiing in the men's slopestyle. Trevor Philp is on course for Canada, 0.55. Now, Philp, oh, it's getting very difficult. You can see the judder marks, the ruts and holes starting to form around these turning gates that are really making it difficult. We already talked about at the top of the show the really long swing that the Austrian coach has set, and with the track, the piste, the snow underfoot now starting to break and cut, it is becoming a very difficult closeout on this first run. Out on course for the Czech Republic again, this is Christoph Kritzel, having just witnessed his teammate Zabistran DNF. Kritzel, experienced skier, this is his 3rd Olympic Games, but that last pitch bringing the skiers into the finish area is becoming brutal now, Finley.
It's so difficult right now. Kritzel made a mistake getting the ski thrown up to the side. That opening split was fantastic, even with that mistake of 0.22 of a second behind, but it quickly turns to make a mistake that big before the flats. It really does take the focus away, and he's out.
Yeah.
These are the turns that are so difficult. When you have a straight 3-gate flush onto a pitch, it's so difficult to stay in control because you're accelerating in the straight turns and you don't have the time to move the feet to prepare. There's no space to prepare for that second pitch.
Let's go to the German racer, Finley. Julian Raugfuss. Just trying to have a quick look where Lena Strasser is. Strasser's in a great position for the German team to strike for a medal. Linus is in 5th position. Raugfuss has got some form on the World Cup Tour, scored some points in Val d'Isère, the opening slalom of the season. And again, he skied on this race piece before. That could be one of the key factors for many of these races. He was 20th in the giant slalom on Sunday. Oh, it's gone.
Again, another one on this second pitch. The rut develops. And if you don't have a little bit of pressure on the skis before you hit that rut, it can throw you off balance.
Clement Zlatkov of Bulgaria. Now his teammate Albert Popov is also in a good position to strike on that second run and will have given Clement a valuable course report. Albert Popov lies in 9th position, 7/10 behind the Austrian leader. And look at Zlatkov here. 24 years of age, qualified once this season on the World Cup Tour. Right in touch, calm, in control, and has a nice rhythm and tempo to this. 0.63 at halfway. Zlatkov is in the top 10.
Looking great, and yeah, there we go through the most difficult turns. This is going well for him. Everything he's putting down and pressure onto the skis, getting the reaction back, and only a second at this moment. He's having a fabulous first run.
And this will be really good news, a ray of light almost to those skiers that are still to make their challenge. If you stay high, clean and early in that racing line, you can get the purchase from the turning skis. Zlatkov goes into the top 30. That's the aim now for the later and lower ranked racers. 20th position for Zlatkov as the wind gusts across the mountain. But here's Alexander Schmid, again a German racer, only a 1/10 of a second off the pace of the leader on the upper part of the challenge.
And its tempo's very high here, solid with the upper body, direct at the gate, and the belief that the skis are going to come around. 0.76 of a second now. But this just, he's taken a little bit off through that flush. That's the way to do it. A little bit of, not lose a bit of speed there, but be ahead of it for the following turns on the pitch. Good tactical choices here for the German.
Yeah, and tactical skiing often is the name of the game for these later start numbers. You've got to work with the snow condition. Don't fight against it. And Schmid showing his World Cup experience in giant slalom. 2.03 off the pace, 23rd position, but may start with bib 7 on the second leg. And here is the second of the Belgian racers. This is Dries van den Broek. 400ths off the pace again, a graduate of the Stams Ski Academy, where so many of the best skiers on the tour have gone. They'll take any racer from any nationality, as long as you've got the skiing talent, of course. And this young lad is looking very good here.
Key turn, another one to just be slightly backing off that 3-gate flush to give yourself the opportunity on those following 6 turns. There's so much across the hill. But it's hard when you change your tempo. It's hard to get it back up into the really high level skiing again. To be able to control your speed of movement like a volume button is a very difficult skill to do.
And it's a course that really maximises what you were analysing there, Finlay. There's no one tempo. There are 2 or 3 rhythms to find throughout this course. But Van den Broek is the second Belgian racer to make the top flight. We're back to the Russian Olympic Committee. This is Ivan Kuznetsov.
Yeah, it's just nothing but full-out attack on the opening part of the mountain, as quick as you can move your feet. And then direct across, as straight as you can be across the flats, and then you have to be ready for these changes in tempo. It comes with the first hairpin, and then it goes into this 3-gate flush, and he's already out, unable to change with a variation of tempo in this first run. I see something wrong potentially with the ski.
Let's go to Adam Zampa for Slovakia. Slovakia already have an Olympic gold in these Winter Games with their world #1 Petra Vlova, who won the women's slalom in sensational style ahead of Liensberger and Holdener of Austria and Switzerland. Adam was 15th in the giant slalom on Sunday, so his confidence too at an all-time high.
Zampa really extends that leg into the turn, but then with that extension you'd have to just go for quick feet through the vertical gates. Those vertical gates are less than 6 meters apart, whereas the open gates here today are set between 9.7 meters and 11 meters, so it's a real change. That's why the tempo changes so quickly when you talk about that variation of distance between the gates.
And it was the lower section where Johannes Strolz really did make his claim for top position. He was absolutely brilliant, gambled, I have to say, but the risk-reward pays dividends for the Austrian. If you look at his split times here on our computer screen in the combox, Finlay, 13.54, and it was on that last pitch that it all came together for Johannes, who leads Henrik Kristoffersen by 200ths of a second and Foss-Solevaag by 600ths of a second. So close. Let's go to Michael Jazik of Poland, wearing bib number 43.
Polish racer here, a little bit late in the turns on the flat, and that's difficult to make the hairpin when you're already late on the entry, but somehow he makes it through. Now on the second pitch, he's calmed the movement down a little. He's been a little bit wild, allowing the inside shoulder to dip into the turn. And that's risky in your slalom skiing if you drop it too far down.
Top 30 is the target now for these later skiers, as we will reverse the top 30 going into the second run. 29th. He'll be bib number 2 on the second run. He'll have a much smoother, cleaner track. And that is a good piece of work.
What a nightmare out of the gate. With that wind increasing at the top and maybe losing his focus, and the left pole completely went.
Now this is Tuomas Lane wearing 44 for Estonia. And there's the straddle, and it's all over for the 21-year-old. Living in Austria, a lot of his training now in Gürzen's in Austria, which of course hosted the Alpine events for the 76 Winter Olympic Games. Sam Mays is the third Belgium racer in this competition that also trains at the Saalfelden Sports Academy, and a lot of his skiing in the Austrian resort of Zell am See.
Sam just through the first flush there, got a pole planted between his legs, managed to get it out of his way very quickly, but it threw him off slightly before the flat. But look at that opening split, only 0.12 of a second off. But with that pole error, it turns into 8/10. Great view of how much action goes into the skis before the gate here, how much you have to release the skis so quickly, but not quick enough on that turn there for Sam.
Oh, disappointment. And as well, races with Team Global Racing, and that's a bit of a shame. Mullen Schult for Australia is next on course. Oh, that is a nightmare. 3 in. Disappointment.
Yeah, you can see him understandably taking his frustration out in one of those gates. All of the planning and preparation for it all to go wrong straight away.
Snorrason from Iceland is next on course. 27 years of age from Reykjavik. He's out. Now we're starting to see how difficult these opening turns really are.
Taking one across the leg, looks to be in a slight bit of discomfort.
Let's go to Latvia with Denni Xhepa.
Another one.
He's gone.
Oh, made it round the blue,
Well
completely out of the course. But that's going to be a massive amount of time gone because it happened before the flats. And if we make our mistakes before the flats, it's hard to regenerate the speed until we get to the next steep section.
26-year-old from Riga, whose mother was a ski racer and had no option as a youngster but to follow his mum, but it's gone the second time of asking. And we are now starting to see how difficult this course set truly is by Marco Pfeiffer. Really testing the skiing skills to the maximum. This is Barnabas Zolos, the Hungarian, now racing under the Israeli flag. He resides in Murau, Austria. 23 years of age. He's had a string of great results. And 30th in the downhill, 30th in the Super G, 22nd in the giant slalom, but an amazing 6th position in the Alpine combined, Finley.
Huge performance for Barnabas Zolos in that Alpine combined. And it was a little bit of a different set in the slalom of the Alpine combined. This one's got more swing across the hill, so he's not able to stay ahead of it as easily as he was in the Alpine combined. But he's doing very well here in this first run, considering how difficult the ruts now are.
And of course, our current leader in the first run of this men's classic slalom was the winner of that Alpine combined competition, Johannes Strolz. And Strolz sets the target time at 53.92. None of these later races are going to get close to that. But if you can make the top 30, it is mission accomplished. And Zolos has done just that for Israel, skiing into 28th. Alexander Andrienko of the Russian Olympic Committee is next on course. 0.37. Nice rhythm and tempo on the opening turns. He's 31 years of age now in his second Olympic Games.
Just a few turns there at the end of the flats where he was just making the next gate. He's settled it now, but it seems to be the arms are going a little bit all over the place with the outside hand, forgetting a bit about the pole plant and just rotating a lot with the upper body there.
He's tired, struggling here. Put in some lovely turns on the top part, but now just can't get that ski to bite, grip and give him the acceleration underfoot. Andrienko, 31st position, outside the magic 30 by just a few hundredths. Poland are back on course with Piast, 22-year-old from Krakow. A DNF in the giant slalom. Desperate to try and find a finish in the slalom today.
Yeah, looking to be wanting to get it under 2.5 seconds to make that flip, which is currently just behind Marco Schwarz, 25th. I mean, yeah, that's a real surprise to see Bib 6, one of the top slalom skiers out there, so far behind.
And unlike the World Cup, we'll see a lot of the skiers, if they feel they've got the time, try and walk and hike back up. Now it's all gone for Pias, and his race is over. But because every skier gets a second run, outside of the top 30 included, we may well see quite a few skiers choosing to hike back up to guarantee themselves a result or a second leg. Now here's the 27-year-old Greek racer, Antonio. DNF in the men's giant slalom on this Ice River racetrack. Look at that wind, Finley, behind, blowing across the track. And let's hope that doesn't pick up any more.
They were talking about the wind in the meeting last night. There were concerns for what chairlift they were going to be using to get to the top. They do have a plan B if the wind continues to increase, but it's so sheltered down in the finish area. The good news is the wind's not significant enough to push the poles around. It's lifting a bit of the snow off the surface, off the snow surface, but if it's not moving the poles around, we're safe to continue.
Now down through this difficult closing section where it's a different amount of pressure from a left to a right foot turn, really testing the slalom skills to the maximum, as we should, I hear you say, in the Winter Olympic Games. 5.56 off the pace for Antonio. He's into 33rd position, but will be back for the second run. Lokmic for Bosnia and Herzegovina is next on course. Now, Emir, 24 years of age, from Sarajevo, the city that hosted the 1984 Winter Olympics. And the slalom gold then was won by Phil Mayer of the United States of America, with his twin brother Steve taking the silver. And as we can see here from Lokmic, just holding on, but showing good balance and skill to keep this run alive.
Real commitment to keep going. He's made multiple errors, but he's forcing himself to get back into it. He's been trapped on the inside ski multiple times, but he's looking to get this one to the finish.
Lokmic 4.94. Now I'm hearing from our producer, as it looks like the Argentinian Berkner de Miguel is struggling. We have our current leader in the finish area. Let's hear from Johannes Strolz. That's Lena Strasser. My apologies, not Johannes Strolz.
Aber ansonsten genau das, was ich mir vorgenommen habe. Ein solider Lauf, wo ich immer der Chef war.
So Lena Strasser is telling us that he found good pace and tempo on the upper turns. Then the target and goal was to keep it flowing. My apologies, I thought we were going to see Johannes Strolz there. It was Lena Strasser that we had a quick interview with. The German is currently lying in 5th position. And Strasser definitely in with a chance of giving Germany their first ever Olympic slalom gold. Derby for Denmark is out on course. Now Kasper wears bib number 55. In his second Winter Olympic Games. DNF'd 4 years ago in Pyeongchang. And only races the slalom here for Beijing 2022. Danish racer just wanting to make sure here, Finley.
Yeah, you can see he's pivoting the skis and a lot of drift of snow, but he wants to make that finish this time around, and he does in the first run. But a little bit too much time to make that top 30 flip, which currently stands at 3.48 seconds.
The younger of the Zampa brothers is out on course with a nice tempo and pace here. This is Andreas Zampa. Now his older brother Adam, I'm just zipping down the standings here. Adam Zampa is a little off the pace, or did he DNF Adam Zampa?
32nd for Adam Zampa.
They've had a lovely little battle, and we saw a couple of great shots of the two of them leading at one point in the second run of the men's giant slalom. Slovakia 1 and 2 with the older brother just above Andreas on screen here. So 32nd position is their target for the sibling rivalry. But look at that wind blowing across the face of the closing turns there. Just adding to the difficulty for Zampa, who does well to close this out. 4.14 off the pace. 33rd position. 1 place behind his brother Adam. This is the Brazilian racer, Michael Macebo from Sinatra, a Portuguese skier, but with dual citizenship and racing under the Brazilian flag in this competition. Didn't start the giant slalom. So far, so good in the slalom. 2.62 seconds off at the halfway point.
Good, strong upper body, really ahead of these key turns. He's getting everything right that he'll have in his tactical box of where he needs to push and where he needs to get ahead of this course.
He graduated from the Sugar Bowl Ski Academy in California, USA, and is currently studying at Middlebury College. And 5.96 off the pace, 36th position. Looking good for a second run challenge. Kekesi for Hungary is next on course. Martin Kekesi, just 26 years of age, from Budapest, with a respectable 34th position already under his belt from the men's giant slalom here on Sunday.
It's really getting tougher out there for these later bib numbers now. It's the rut. It's either bumping them and allowing them to ski late in the line, or it doesn't allow them to be early. So it's, even if they're in the right position, it's quite easy to get thrown late in the line, and then you have to start forcing the turns. Like we see here, he's really forcing the ski around and making hard work of it in these closing hairpins.
Kekesi 7.93 seconds off the pace, a first run time of 101.85. Looks like there's problems for Osh of Luxembourg on gate 3 to 4. Not the first to make that error, and I'm sure he won't be the last either. Xhepa for Albania next on course. Now, Denni Xhepa resides in Sestria, Italy, just 18 years of age, a DNF in the men's giant slalom. Grew up skiing in Italy, but was approved by the International Ski Federation in June 2021 to represent Albania at these Winter Olympic Games.
Just coming through the flush now, getting some good timing. But on the heels in those turns, you can just see how much across the hill they've set and how difficult that's now making it for the later runners when you have to deal with the rut as well. Few little pole error plants, or errors with his pole plant in the closing turns, but looks to make it to the line. 34th position, 4.4 seconds off the pace. Ready into bib 62.
This is Salovic, 1.96 off the pace. Racing for Montenegro, of course, just 22 years of age. 64th is PB from the last Winter Games in Pyeongchang. 4 years ago now, of course, every 4 years the Winter Olympics hosted.
Looking to ski for the finish here, looks like. Just backing off the pace slightly, and a lot of these racers won't have skied on this level of icy piste, so when you're new to skiing in this injected snow, it really is completely different from some of the lower level races that you'd be used to skiing on natural snow, and all of a sudden you have to ski in a very different style and you're not used to it.
40th position for Salovic of Montenegro. Now here's a skier for Colombia, 23 years of age, actually resides in the French resort of Les Carreaux. This is, of course, Michael Portoz, looking to improve on his 31st position in the giant slalom on Sunday of this week. Now he
straddle on the exit of the 3-gate flush. He knew he had to get ahead of it in preparation for that second pitch.
Stepanescu for Romania. Now Alexandra wearing bib 64, again a youngster who was at 32nd in the giant slalom on the Ice River racetrack here on Sunday. 38th in the GS and Cortina d'Ampezzo, the World Championships of last season. That was the major of the 2021 tour. So Stefanescu's target here is obviously to break into the top 30, and he'll get a much easier ride underfoot if he does.
Time for that top 30, sitting right now, still at 3.48 seconds. But, it's already 3.48 seconds now, so not going to be able to make that flip. And it's looking much harder to make that flip at this moment in time with these later bib numbers getting very hard rut conditions, which are juddery on some turns and very slidey on the others.
Stefanescu, 7.8 seconds off the pace, skiing into 39th position. This is Asa Miller representing the Philippines with bib number 65. He's gone already. Goes the long way around. Actually resides in Salt Lake City, Utah. A DNF in the giant slalom. It's well within the rules to do that.
Did he go through the lower blue gates?
I'm not sure he
back
did.
Around and got the upper red gate, but it doesn't matter now anyway because he's 100% out now.
Soso Jafharidze of Georgia is next on course, 25 years of age, looking just to finish this first run of the men's slalom after a DNF in the giant slalom earlier this week. Represented Georgia at the World Championships in Åre, Sweden back in 2019.
Oh, he's throwing everything at this with the hands going up. Skiing slightly on the tails of the skis. And they're trying to balance himself with the upper body. You can just hear the skis as they bounce and judder down through the ruts that have been developed by the athletes before him. He's looking to fight for this finish.
Yeah, he is digging deep here, and he looks like he's just about made it home. This is a very difficult course set from Marco Pfeiffer, the Austrian coach, for some of these lower ranked racers. 1:02.02 seconds. This guy's a good skier. Ivan Kovbasnyuk for Ukraine. 33rd in the downhill.
No.
Oh, what a shame for Ivan. I was about to say, a very impressive 14th in the Alpine combined.
He was trying to stay clean edge to edge, not giving up. Sliding the turns on the flat and just ran out of space.
For Thailand, this is Nicola Zanon, actually resides in Italy. San Bernardo Pass there. Represented Thailand at the Pyeongchang Games. Grew up in the Dolomites, Italian Dolomites, but has dual citizenship. His father is Italian and his mother from Thailand. 2013, he was given the all clear by the International Ski Federation to ski on his mother's side of his family rather than his father's.
Second pitch complete. Strong and consistent with his form. Not really looking to accelerate the turns, but just stay in control of them.
He's got himself a second run into last position. Hong Kong are on course. We go to our reporter in the Finnish area who's talking with Tommaso Sala.
Sereno, tranquillo e lucido nella tua sciata.
Sì, ma anche in partenza ero
Calm and easy was the question for Sala.
Una buona prestazione. Non volevo spingere troppo perché ho visto tanti ragazzi che appena spingevano rischiavano tanto
Sala
nei
tells us that he didn't want to push too hard. He wanted to find a balance and cut down on the risk-taking, which has paid dividends for Sala, who currently lies in 8th position. And the Italian tells us that with the snow feeling relatively straightforward and easy underfoot, it was a tactical ski from Tommaso Sala, and we wish him the best of luck for that second run. The Italian skier lying in 8th position, 0.45 off the pace. We're up to racer 71, I believe, and that is Ho Pinturault from Chinese Taipei.
Third gate again. He's making sure of this, hiking up and going around that red and getting back legally into the racetrack.
23 years of age, who again has moved to Austria to try and improve his skiing skills. Was the flag bearer for Chinese Taipei at the opening ceremony. Still got to hit the entry level to qualify for this slalom, like the giant slalom, Finley. So they've got to have a certain number of fist points against their name.
120 fist points to be at the level to achieve the right to kick out of the gate. And he's trying his absolute everything to not only kick out the gate, but make the finish as well. It's not been going the way he wanted to, but he's not giving up on this one. Unfortunate straddle. Look how icy it is and how quickly you can slide down the mountain.
Now this is Zakhar Kuchin, the Kazakhstan racer. Kuchin was a DNF in the giant slalom. Looks a little more comfortable on his slalom skis than he did in giant slalom at the start of this week.
Some good turns here. Moving his feet well. Keeping that pole plant out in front of him to control his tempo. And lucky the undergate came where it did there. He needed that space. So not backing off this one. Just the final two hairpins to go. Looking good for a finish here.
And 9.76. Let's move on to a young skier that we've been following on Eurosport wearing bib 73. It's Richardson Viano should be our next skier on course. Now, is that the skier before that seems to be in little trouble, or is that Richardson Viano? No, that's 71, who's landed in the finish area.
He caught his edge as he crashed after he straddled, and his ski seemed to catch and tweak the knee as he was heading down on his back on that final pitch.
Well, the race referee will surely have to put the competition on hold. And we're up against it from a timing perspective with such a huge start number on this first leg. The good news is that Ho is up on his feet and may be able to just walk out of the finish area, the field of play. Here's that crash again. Inside Fischer's ski goes the wrong side of the turning gate, whips him over. And he's on one of the steepest parts of the racetrack, hurtling down into the finish area.
Yeah. When he's hurtling down, there's an awkward edge catch. The skis came up and over.
And all the fans in the crowd, the first round of this man's slalom is unfinished, so please keep your energy.
He's walking it off now, which is good.
So here is the story of Richardson Viano, adopted from a orphanage in Haiti at the age of 3 by an Italian couple who lived in France, and literally since stepping foot into France he's been on his skis ever since. But of course he's still able to race for his mother country, and Viano here 1.46, he really does have a chance of making some serious breakthroughs. These are nice skills, it's a good race tempo from Viano here, and Richardson showing that he's got the skills to earn the qualification fist points for this Olympic race, and is looking for a good result here today. It's a remarkable story that we've featured on Eurosport on a number of occasions. And here's Haiti with a competitive racer.
Yeah, very much skiing with an aggressive approach, willing to put that deep angle into the turn, making some errors, but keeping the foot on the gas, not backing off at all. This is great into the finish.
Well, he races with Orsitus Racing, a private club from the French Alps. A lot of skiing in Puy-Saint-Vincent, another great ski resort with a racing heritage, and that's a good piece of work into the second run. Well skied, sir. Just 17 years of age. Richardson Viano of Haiti. Now this is Tukatev from Uzbekistan. Thrown out but gets back in, and I think he's still within the rules. Gates, and therefore will not be disqualified. 4.48 off the pace.
He just made it around all of the gates, but can he get his focus back together now? Because he's attacking the course. We've seen a lot of other men before him just being slightly tentative on their way down today, but this is good attacking skiing here.
No, oh, he straddles the penultimate gate. Oh, that's painful, frustrating. And it looks like 75. Berkin Usta for Turkey is also a DNF. Here's the replay, Finlay.
Yeah, going straight on the top pitch, and the skis washing out, and just unable to keep the tempo of those early turns.
Now this is Jeffrey Webb for Malaysia, born in Kuala Lumpur, now residing in Washington State. His race is over. It's tough out there. This is Albin Tahari for Kosovo, wearing bib 77.
He's got the feeling of the snow, having raced in most of the previous races to now, so understands how icy it can be here on the Ice River racetrack.
He's been around a while as well, Finny. 33 years of age now from Ljubljana. He skied in all of the races in Pyeongchang and has had the same plan here in Beijing.
Solid work down the second steep. Using that strength and that experience to his advantage. Not letting the skis get too far out in front of them as they want to accelerate out of these turns.
Tahari of Kosovo, 10.09 seconds off, 44th position. He'll be back for the second leg later this morning. Quickly out on course, racing for the Lebanon is Cesar Arnouk. Now, Arnouk, born in Tripoli, but now resides in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. A DNF in the giant slalom. Looks a little more comfortable on the slalom skis.
165 centimetre slalom skis versus 193 on the giant slalom. So the shorter skis coming around quicker. They must be training more slalom to have that more comfortable approach to these shorter turns. But can he make it work on the icy track onto the last pitch? Just.
Been very slick in places. He's made it. Arnouk for Lebanon, 46th position. I'm hearing in my headphones that we're ready to go to our reporter in the finish area and hear from Dave Ryding, summing up his first run performance.
Yeah, exactly. I started good. I had a good feeling, but you can't make mistakes in slalom. But the good thing is we have 2 runs, so now there's nothing to lose for me. I'm in a position to fully attack, so you know, anything's possible.
Yeah, we saw it during this season that anything is possible right now in slalom. Did you feel pressure at the start, or you were confident after?
No, I was fine this time. You know, my 4th Olympics. I always say I'm not defined by the Olympics. My career's been awesome for me, so I try my best here like every race, and we see what my best gets me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you.
Good words from Dave there. Still believes he's in with a chance, as do we here in the Eurosport and Discovery Plus commentary box. Out on course, representing the Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste, is Johan Goncalves-Gut, and now residing in France. 27-year-old who took quite a nasty DNF in the giant slalom here on Sunday, but he's back for more, carrying bib number 80 of 88 in this first of the 2 runs in the last of the men's individual alpine skiing races at these Winter Olympic Games.
Just making sure of these closing turns. Just holding on and controlling the turns. It's just so icy and difficult out there. And makes it to the line in 48th position.
1 minute 15:48. The Olympic Games says that after the top 30 in reverse order. Oh, that's a shame for Gordiv of Kyrgyzstan. 81 here.
Yeah, just hitting that ice, and oh, that's a tough one on the ribs for gate 3.
This is Ricardo Brancal of Portugal. 2.27 is a good first split time interval.
He's attacking this one. Just getting a little bit trapped on the edge at the end of the turn, but the movement into the top of the turn is good. No, just made it.
37th position for the Portuguese racer here on Sunday. Holding on. These turns on the closing section are incredibly difficult now.
And now looking for the line.
Stopping the clock at 106.24 seconds. That's 12.32 seconds off the pace of our leader, Johannes Strolz of Austria. San Marino are next on course with Matteo Gatti. Gatti was disqualified in the men's giant slalom. Let's see if he can have a little more luck in the slalom here today. It was 45th in the World Championship slalom, the highlight of last season in Cortina d'Ampezzo. And for many of these young racers, skiing in those World Championships of 2021 was their first taste of the Olympic race pistes for the next games in Milan. But Cortina will host many of the Alpine events. Bormio, the speed events of the Alpine in 2026.
Just making sure of it through these closing turns. He was a little bit more attacking on the flat, but that's understandable because it's so difficult now down into the finish with the ruts and the ice. And makes it 48th position.
As we come to the end with the first of the Chinese skiers, Zhu, becoming a DNF. We're going to go back down to our reporter in the finish area and hear from Alexis Pinturault.
Alexis, c'était comment ta première?
C'était correct, voilà, sans plus.
Pinturault tells us that he felt his first run was correct, but nothing more.
La neige a beaucoup changé entre le haut et le bas de parcours. Sinon, sur le reste, techniquement, etc., c'était
and this is the first bit of information that we're getting, that he found the snow different between the two parts of the top to the bottom. Alexis Pinturault there giving us a little bit of intel on his first run performance, currently lying in 15th position, 1 position better than Dave Ryding, who is in 16th. This is 86 on course now. This is Mathieu Neumüller. Neumüller racing for Madagascar. French racer. Changed his nationality from French to Madagascar by approval of the International Ski Federation in June of 2021. He's the second male Olympic skier from Madagascar to compete at the Winter Olympic Games.
Dynamic movements here. And then just backing off the gate slightly to make sure of it on this second pitch. But looking comfortable with the ice. It's not phasing him.
He's made it to the bottom of the slope successfully. 1 minute 07.90 seconds, 48th position. This is Mohammed Karim of Pakistan out on course, 26 years of age, in his 3rd Winter Olympic Games. 71st position was his best result in Sochi, 72nd in Pyeongchang.
Oh, straddle and then taken down by the hairpin. Just unable to move the feet at the same tempo as the course there.
And the last skier of the first run representing Puerto Rico is William Flaherty. .05 off the pace of the first split. Young lad that lives in Rio Grande, Puerto Rico, 17 years of age. And older brother Charles Flaherty also competed for Puerto Rico in Pyeongchang in 2018. Made his FIS event qualification at Copper Mountain in the USA.
He's really attacking this part of the flat in preparation for the final steep, but almost just making the red gate there. Reset for these closing turns.
Very proud to have been Puerto Rico's flag bearer at the opening ceremony, and now equally as proud to have completed this first run and guarantee a second. Flaherty, 15.94 seconds off the pace of the Austrian leader, 51st position. So that brings us to the end of the first of the 2 runs to be contested, with the Alpine combined Olympic champion in tip-top form once again. Johannes Strolz is at the top of the table, but only just ahead of the Norwegians by 200ths and 600ths of a second. Kristoffersen and Solevaag at 2nd and 3rd. British number 1 Dave Ryding had the green light all the way to halfway and then made a small mistake on the closing pitch. Dave is in 16th position. But remember, the top 30 will go in reverse order for the second leg, when we will decide the medals for the Olympic slalom title. It will be the 500th Alpine medal awarded today in this 20th Olympic slalom competition. It is looking good for Austria, one of the most successful nations in Olympic slalom competition, with Johannes Strolz at the top of the table, with the 2 Norwegians just behind him.